like board of supervisors does that all the time. But yeah, you can decide where you want to put it, but I don't think you can, I think that's just infringing on people's First Amendment rights.
Whose iPad?
Oh, hi, Tom.
Okay. All right. I'll get to my agenda. Good evening, everyone. I will call us to order at 5:08 p.m. and I'll start with the land acknowledgement. The Altadena Library District acknowledges its presence on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded land of the Gabrielino Tongva peoples. Altadena is located on the stolen homelands of the Hamunga tribal band. The traditional territory of the Gabrielino Tongva is referred to as Savangar, which includes the areas currently known as the Los Angeles County, Riverside County, West San Bernardino County, parts of Orange County, as well as the 4 Southern Channel Islands. Entities such as the U.S. government and non-native settlers have subjected the Gabrielino Tongva people to historic and continuing injustices, including genocide, forced displacement, and cultural and linguistic erasure. Altadena Library commits to learning, educating, and informing its staff and residents of present-day Altadena about the rich histories, vibrant communities, and culture of the Gabrielino Tongva people, present and past, through our collection development, resources, and program offerings. I will now do our roll call. Trustee Capel?
Here.
Trustee Clark?
Here.
Trustee Lim?
Here.
And I am here. Is there any reordering of the agenda items? May I have a motion to adopt the agenda as it is?
So moved.
Can I do all in favor, or I still have to do a roll call because Jason's on
We
the?
have to roll call.
Okay. Okay, Trustee Capel?
Aye.
Clark?
Hi.
Trustee Lim? I vote for me. Thank you. Is there any public comment on non-agenda items?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay,
We can double check when she gets back to the agendas.
okay, great. All right, so
No public comment. There is no public comment.
thank you. All right, so then we will move to the consent calendar. May we have a motion to approve the consent calendar? Thank you.
Second.
Trustee Capel?
Aye.
Trustee Clark?
Hi.
Trustee Lim?
Aye.
I vote for me. Thank you very much. Okay. Moving on to department updates and special presentation. We have first, right now, a service award of 5 years for Erin Kimbrell. Woo!
Woo woo.
Yes,
You're
should.
rightly so.
Good evening, everyone. I'm so happy to present Aaron with his 5-year service award. Aaron started his journey at ALD as a library clerk at the Bob Lucas Library. He later transitioned into a librarian role and was not just an ordinary librarian, but a cool one. Aaron became the innovations librarian, and he made his way to the main library in February of 2022. And he laid the groundwork for our very own Fab Lab. And judging by its success, you might think it's short for Fabulous Lab, but it's actually short for Fabrication Lab. To date, the lab is open 9 hours a week, has tons of high-tech equipment, and has over 40 members. As if managing the Fab Lab doesn't keep Aaron busy enough, he is a great librarian, a mobile library wizard, an airtable connoisseur, an all-around skillful jokester that makes our planning meetings fun and makes him a truly great fit to the adult services team. As the most seasoned member of that team, Aaron is a resource to his peers, and I truly enjoy working with him. So cheers to a wonderful 5 years.
Keep to that. It's been,
Wild ride.
it's been, yeah, I was thinking today, I think the biggest, been through a lot of personal and collaborative changes in these 5 years. But it's been a pleasure the whole time to work with everyone. So yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you. Are we taking a picture?
Or should we take it in front of the screen so Jason can?
Yeah, come on there. I think we took about here last.
We did, yeah.
I ended.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, thank you. We're matching.
Hey, everyone. And yes, let's get a picture with Jason.
Jason. Aw.
We really gonna try and do this?
Large.
You are now.
You'll definitely fit.
We don't halfway do anything right now.
There's plenty of systems jealous of our Fab Lab, that's for sure.
1, 2, 3. Okay, excellent.
All right.
Awesome.
Did it work?
It did.
Thank you, Aaron.
You're gonna have to get less fancy.
Okay, all right. Thank you all for that. Next on the agenda, we have department updates and reports. Are there any comments from trustees on the department updates and report or department update report?
I just wanted to say how much I appreciated seeing all the reports from the care camps, because
Yes.
obviously I didn't get to see any of that in real life, but it was amazing just to see all of the photos and to kind of understand how widespread staff were, mobile library units were out, like incredible. I thought it was just absolutely amazing, and to still get departmental reports when everybody was out running all over Los Angeles County is really, really cool. So a huge hats off to the staff. And of course, I know this was not in this board package, but yesterday's event was massive. And so big round of applause to everybody for making that happen as well.
Yeah. I would echo that. It was really cool reading and seeing, of course, always the pictures. And I was looking for one of them because I went to that Dodger Stadium event. I was like, is the library here with all of these children? Somewhere I was looking for you. So it was nice to see that Dodgers, someone was there. I don't know who exactly, but yeah, that was really cool to see the evidence of all of that pivoting.
Mhm.
That was
Yeah, I'll
great.
just-
Sadly, I was at a lot of those
I know.
events.
Yeah,
So,
I'm sure.
yeah, it was just nice to see some familiar faces. So that was great.
Yeah, I'll just add if there was anybody doubting just how critical the libraries are going to be to bringing Altadena back together, I think these reports and Saturday's event should very clearly put that to rest. And and the staff, some of whom were affected by the fires as well, like continuing to do all of this amazing work. It means a lot to a lot of people.
Also really cool to see baby Ellie in the
Yeah.
report. Welcome to our newest library patron. Super cute. Any other comments, questions?
I just appreciate it. Also, thank you, Daniel, for the list of like
Oh,
remediation
yeah.
specifics. I know I've gotten that question from a couple people and I've been able to say like, we did stuff. But I really appreciate being able to point them here. I was like, I know we did a very comprehensive job, but having it lined out is, I
Yeah.
think, very reassuring as well to people who might be concerned about safety and justifiably so.
Thank you.
I will move us on to the next section, which is the support groups. I know there was not, I didn't see a report, but, right?
We have Tom here.
Yeah, Tom is here on the iPad. Tom, would you like to share anything? Okay. Then, moving on to the administrative update.
Oh, all right, good evening. As you can see, it was a very, very long report this time. It's been a very busy couple of months. In terms of recruitment, I did share that unfortunately, the adult services manager position was pulled out of the budget. We won't be filling that right now, but I did want to mention in anticipation of opening Bob Lucas and potentially an alternate site at Loma Alta Park, we're going to be posting for our youth and family services manager position, which Diana has graciously been filling since she came over to Maine last year. As well as the branch librarian position, which also vacated about a year ago, but knowing that the staff were moving over here, we didn't fill. So definitely looking at what's gonna be needed to be able to staff appropriately and also what is still written into the budget. So Christy will be touching on that a bit during the mid-year budget adjustments report, but we will be doing some recruiting to make sure we're ready to open Bob Lucas in a couple months. In terms of marketing, as you can see, Bryn has been extremely busy. The Altadena Connections e-blast or email that she sends out started the very first week of the fire, and I feel like she never sleeps, scouring everything that gets emailed to her and websites and et cetera, to be able to put through a very robust email that goes out once a week to the community. As of right now, because we are using the existing connections list as well as our regular email list, which we moved away from during the pandemic, but in this instance, we pulled it back together. Currently, it's going out to over 21,000 email addresses. And currently the open rate is over 55%. So it's definitely something that as I'm out at meetings and events in the community, people thank me for the work that she's put in, as well as keeping our social media updated and sharing out as much as she possibly can. So kudos to her on that. In addition to that, she's in the process of creating a media page on the website. One thing we've gotten a lot of lately is media attention. Ahead of the first hotspot giveaway on February 8th, she was able to get K-Cal here. Sadly, bright and early in the morning. I'm not a morning person, but we made it work, as well as at Grocery Outlet that day. She also had K-Cal here the day that we reopened on March 4th. Thank you to Katie for also getting up at the crack of dawn to be on camera with us. In addition to that, lots of newspaper articles. I don't know if you guys have ALD as a Google alert, but we're in the news like pretty much every day. So, and I credit Bryn with making sure that we're front and center. It's important to me that not just ALD, but Altadena stays in the news. So again, we'll keep working things that way, but hopefully Bryn gets a couple days off one of these days. Other administrative updates, I did write about an event that seems like a million years ago that Ashley and I attended that was called Reading by Moonrise, with the Clock Shop. That was like kind of came to be with the Connected Wellness campaign that we partnered with LA County Library Foundation. We were given a $10,000 check from that event, which was great to help support the hotspots that we're purchasing. And it featured our poets laureate as well. So it was just a really beautiful event, supported by lots of people from across LA. I also mentioned the birth of the Crisis and Recovery Committee. Thank you to Katie and Ray for stepping up to serve on that. I feel like in these 2 months that it's existed, we've done quite a bit of work. We brought our lobbyists to the board retreat last month. We're going to be flying to Sacramento tomorrow, and we think the schedule has 6 or 7 meetings in the afternoon.
Yep.
So we'll be talking to legislators, about our current budget deficit and some of the needs of the library. So really grateful for the work that that committee is doing. We were also really excited to bring everybody back to the main library. Thank you to Ashley and Diana for bringing in Masada, which did mental health, trauma-informed care training ahead of opening the library the next day, as well as giving the staff the afternoon to like spend time together and prepare to bring the community back. Weren't quite sure how everybody was gonna feel, but overall, my general impression from talking to staff is everybody's just really glad to be back to the library and really grateful for the work that Daniel and his team did to get us ready to open. Connected Wellness Campaign has raised, from what I can gather in my mind, at least $70,000 thus far. So we have distributed 200 hotspots loaded with 14 months of service. Thank you to Catalina that was a lot of logistical work to connect and verify families to come pick those up. Our hope is to buy at least another 200. I've been in talks with Mark, the foundation president, about that. So we're continuing to fundraise. If you know someone that wants to give us money for a good cause, that is one. And because we did build a wait list, it's currently over 200 people, right? So there's definitely a need to keep fundraising.
How much do each cost?
Because T-Mobile is donating the device, which technically we're valued at about $250. They're also giving 2 months of free service. We're paying $20 a month for 12 months. So each device costs us $240. So to buy 100, it costs $24,000. So thus far, like I said, we bought $48,000 worth. There is more money, but we also want a little break. It's a lot of work to distribute those, but you can continue to send people to sign up for those as well. Let's see, another thing that we have been very closely involved with is the Eaton Fire Collaborative. This group came to be by a couple of Don Muir alumni who, within the first week of the fire, wanted to figure out ways to give back to the community. So Daryl Falls and, oh my God, Jill Hawkins. They put out some feeler emails to groups like us and City of Pasadena, and it started out really small. Now it had to move upstairs at the Elks Lodge. I think there's over 70 agencies that are participating. And the big emphasis is on collaborating so that all of these efforts that are being taken to help the community connect with resources and information and the things that they're gonna need to rebuild and recover are doing so in a coordinated manner. So Bryn's been really involved with the messaging side of it. She was really involved with the press release and press conference that took place last week. We're gonna continue to attend that meeting every Tuesday and help in any way that we can. But what it's gonna morph into is what they're calling long-term recovery groups. So really proud to have been involved with that since it came to be. I think like I put in my report, I got an email on January 19th about that. So it's been meeting for, I think, almost 10 weeks now. Our Poets Laureate continue to offer great programs. They had a huge draw at Octavia's Bookshelf in the end of February. That also was a fundraiser for the Altadena Library Foundation's campaign. And then another event here on March 15th. I did the welcome and then was followed by 2 PUSD students who spoke about losing their homes in the fire. So again, you know, our poets do an amazing job of offering really meaningful programs to the community. We also did decide not to cancel second Saturday in March. And we had almost 200 people show up. We were really wondering what it was gonna look like. So it was really great. So many people came. Thank you to Ashley for being here to do the intro and welcome everyone. That was the week that I was sick. But also just making sure that it happened. We did reschedule the January or February band, one of the 2 for April, and then we have Upstream coming in May. So again, second Saturday's back on. If anyone wants to do the intro, please reach out to me.
What date?
April 12th and May 10th, I think are the dates. So just let me know if you're interested. I don't normally put future programming in here, but I thought I should include the event with LeVar Burton. And that took place, as Katie mentioned, on Saturday. That actually came to be because of collaborating with someone at the Eden Fire Collaborative meeting. Labid Aziz, who is on the PTA board for Altadena Arts Magnet, came up to me and said, I know someone that knows LeVar and he wants to come. And I was like, yes, let's go. So from there, we had about 2 to 3 weeks to organize, and it was a huge success. Very thankful to the management team. Everybody was here. You could just tell everything ran super smooth because all hands were on deck, including Bryn and Catalina, who did a lot of work coordinating as well. And the promotion was like out of this world. It seemed to me that for the last week, everywhere I turned, I saw promotion about the event. It was on the news and the newspaper. So we're guesstimating we had about 1,000 people show up. You'd probably agree, right, Boone and Camila? I mean, it was
Yeah, it was pretty massive.
packed.
What did you guys give out? 400 books?
400
On
of the books
They're
were,
just kids, right?
they were out by
Yeah.
10:55
Yeah,
Wow.
of those
so
books.
I would say more than 1,000. We
Yeah.
were-
Yeah, it
That's
was a
cool.
lot of people, so. And we had 4 of our electeds show up, which I thought was really great. So just a wonderful event. We also have an event this coming Friday night. We've partnered with the Foothill Catalog, which for those of you that aren't aware, are some local architects that are setting up a nonprofit to put together a catalog of home designs for people that want to rebuild, but not like have Altadena turn into like this cookie cutter place of designs. So they're gonna be, we're gonna partner with them moving forward. I'm hoping to do some type of like Ask an Architect program with them, where community members can come in and actually connect with an architect. But this program is being done in coordination also with Altadena Heritage, Pasadena Heritage, Altadena Historical, and I believe it's called the Bungalow Haven Landmark District. So that's on this Friday night at 7, if you're looking for something to do. In terms of statistics, as you know, we didn't have power for over a month, so this was the first time I was able to pull the statistics back together. Of note, I had to gray out some fields, as you can see, because we were closed, so there were no statistics. And also there's one pink field, which is Bryn and I using her open rate from the Altadena connections rather than just specifically eConnect. But otherwise, you know, statistics look pretty normal considering. I think that's it. Happy to answer any questions you might have. Sorry to go on forever. There's a lot going on.
Mhm. Questions or comments? Nikki?
It feels so weird, right? Because we've been meeting so regularly, just to see all of this happening at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No others?
No. thank
All
you,
right.
no.
Thank you for that detailed report. Yes.
I have, the updates from Tom, because he was having trouble with his audio. but
Okay.
Oh,
He dropped them in the chat.
Okay.
So this is what he wanted to share. So the Friends are planning a book event the weekend after Mother's Day in May. He wanted to say thanks to Nikki and the library team for including the Friends in last weekend's event, welcoming the community back to the library. And every time I popped over there, they seemed pretty popular, so there's a lot of people checking out the books over there. And he says they're looking forward to the next second Saturday in April.
Yeah,
Awesome.
the Friends wheeled out carts and carts of books and kept
Yeah.
filling them, so that was really great, because they gave away a lot of
Oh,
books.
good.
It was really a cool event of like helping people rebuild their libraries.
Yeah.
It kind of felt like, you know,
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, and that young high schooler that had that book drive to bring in, I don't know how many books.
Yeah.
That was
They brought in about 1,000 books.
Yeah. So,
yeah, what was her name?
Who is
Danielle
that?
Levi,
Levi.
What, from what school?
San Marino High School.
Very nice.
Yeah, it was so great. And then we also had Families in Schools, which is a nonprofit that
Yeah.
had, I don't even know, they got over 10,000 books donated from Scholastic. They didn't bring them all, but they ended up with very few books left too, by the end of the
Yeah.
event. Like, it was a great partnership for them to be able to pass out books too.
Yeah.
So,
Good. Thank you. All right, moving on to financial reports. Hi there.
Good evening. Good evening, trustees, staff, public. Yes, I will walk through the financials with you tonight. They actually begin on page 52, but we're not going to go through every month. We're going to start at page 86. With the library closed for that little bit of time, we've got several months that we wanted to present and have access to and be accepted by, but we'll just focus on where we're at as of February. So beginning on page 86, you will see that your revenue is at about 95%, and that's because the majority of property taxes have been assessed by the county. You don't have all the cash yet. You usually have the majority of that by the beginning of May, after the second tax payment is made. There will be some minor adjustments to revenue when we see the mid-year budget adjustment, just because with the library being closed for over a month, we'll have some adjustments there. Expenses are right in line. Salaries and benefits are down just a little bit due to some vacancies, but not too much concern there. Same with benefits. The related benefit accounts are in the same place. I will talk at the end a little bit about your CalPERS unfunded liability line. I'll talk about that when I'm done with financials. Nikki and I have been doing some work behind the scenes on that we want to bring to the board. Operating expenses, again, the majority of lines are fine. Structures and improvements, vehicle and equipment, you'll see an adjustment there at mid-year having to do with both fire remediation, some work that was done to the HVAC, and then also additional wrapping and things that were needed to build out the mobile library. But those you'll see in our mid-year adjustments. Your financial lines, your professional services lines, in total are pretty good. Your auditing and financial consulting line is over. As of February, that's primarily due to the audit being paid in full already. You pay 1 year in arrears, but you will see that going up a little bit, and we'll have an adjustment for the additional financial work that I have been doing in my firm due to the staff accounting position being out. And we'll talk about that again in the budget. Information technology. Again, a lot of this has to do with timing. Technology maintenance fees is at about 96%. We might have that line go over a little bit. I know David, since the last time we met, did a full analysis of this and preparing for next year's budget, but we don't have any recommendations for adjustments right now. Everything is within line, and in total, that line should be fine. Library materials, again, certain lines are down because of timing, but this line usually picks up by the end of the year based on when they're adding to these different pieces. And the same goes with programming. A lot of the programming happens in the spring and towards summer. For instance, summer reading, you don't see a lot there. Literacy services, there's just a small line there, and we'll see that fill in as the year goes on as well. So as of February, you are contributing about 1.6 million to the operating reserve. And again, that's just because so much has been assessed for property taxes, you spend it out through the end of the year. The original budget was that you would actually be dipping into your reserve a slight amount of 83,000. Unless somebody has questions, I'll just keep moving through the different funds and then we can address them. Okay, donations and grants, looking great. A lot of the funding has been received. The foundation has a little bit to contribute, $5,000. That will be coming in the next month or so. And then in addition to that, they're going to be making a contribution for a couple $1,000s to cover line 19, which are the resident hotspots. Now, Nikki talked about a grant that covered the hotspots themselves. This is for the power banks and some of the bags and things that were needed to get those handed out to residents. So it's a small amount, but the foundation will be covering that item. It was not in the original budget. Other items that were not budgeted, you see the NAs, you'll see in the mid-year adjustment. Those are funding that came in during the year, and we'll adjust for that at mid-year. Most of the lines, salaries and benefits are right in line. A little bit of adjusting or a little bit of timing there. And then operating expenses right in line in total. You're at about 67% of the total. And then program and materials, again, timing. The intent is for staff and those managing these lines to use all of the grant funding. in total, and in some cases prior to using general fund. So you'll see over the next few months, that's where the activity picks up in these lines. And again, a couple of the lines, you'll see NAs, you'll see that changed from mid-year budget. So donations and grants looking good, 45,000 left in the bank to spend. It will be spent by June 30th. The combined just shows you which lines are being paid for out of which funding sources. Some of them are general fund, some are grant, and then there are some lines that are both. So salaries and benefits, we've got a little bit covered there. Some of the operating, some of the programming is split between general and donations and grants. So you can see your total there. Building projects are capital through February. This does only speaks to new donations that come in as well as interest income. The grant is assessed over time, so we don't typically show that here because you receive those funds in advance, the very large grant. But in terms of revenue that's come in just this year, you've had some nice naming opportunities, naming gifts. Interest income continues to outperform where it's been budgeted. You'll see an adjustment there for mid-year. We work very closely with Jennifer, project manager. We, again, budgeted more than is going to happen this year, just because the timeline has been slowed down a little bit for Maine. But Bob Lucas is finishing on target and under budget just a little bit. So you will see a few adjustments to this for mid-year. And then these are the details that we, again, work on the different pieces of it. So primarily what you're seeing when you get into your construction, you've already got construction testing and construction. Those are all Bob Lucas, lines 16 and 17, where some of the plan studies, plan check studies, you're starting to see those happen for the main library. So I think this report will really amp up if we continue to go on target with that building project. And just as a reminder, of the bond proceeds, we've got 20 million remaining. That number is not too much below the proceeds that were received. And that has to do with the fact that interest has been earned on those. We've also got a remaining part of the grant proceeds of that first part, a lot of that received. So interest earnings have really helped build this. One of the pieces, it's not spelled out here, but it's in those numbers, is what's sitting in a capital account. So there are also funds that are being invested separately that are for capital. Some of those are the naming gifts that we've got in there, in addition to funds that have been matched from your grant. Any questions on any of the financials or any specific lines I can go over?
Christine, maybe I missed this. I'm sorry. Can you talk about line 34, that payroll processing expense?
Yes, I did not mention. Yep, I did not mention that in total, but you are correct. I know what you're talking about. So the payroll processing fees have gone up a little bit. Part of that, you're talking about miscellaneous expense for payrolls, correct?
Yeah. So we're over 8,000 and
Yes.
we're halfway through.
Right.
So it looks like it's gonna probably finish around what, like 14?
Something
For the year?
somewhere in there. We've made an adjustment at mid-year, and part of it is that the fees themselves have gone up a little bit, but the other part are some services, some pieces that were added. I know you added, was it EAP or something, Nikki, at the end, which wasn't a huge amount, but again, the percentage looks bad. In total, it's not so much. There's just some other fees that are in there. We're actually trying to do a little research to see what some of them are. I can't speak to all of them specifically, but there's a fee for doing the payrolls. We've had a couple special payrolls. They charge a little more for that. So some of them I'm aware of, others I just need to see. I need to do a better analysis to tell you exactly what is in that figure to really answer your question. Katie, I know the bills are legitimate. We've looked at that. What I don't know is where is it just because the general fee increased, or is it because of some of these extras that we've done? I know that's contributed to it in some part.
That was my question. Like, is it basically just it costs more, or is it a process issue, or like what is?
A little bit of each.
Okay.
Yeah, we did.
It's a little both.
the EAP plan right after the fire happened.
Right,
We
right.
do have Patty, but like this way
Yeah.
staff could call, and that's only, I think, $300 a month, so it's not
Right,
the
which,
difference.
yeah,
I do think we had to process payroll a couple times due to mistakes.
bless you.
So, and I do think the fees went up a little bit.
Okay.
So a combination of things.
Okay, got it.
I will come back with an analysis though, because we are going to ask for an increase at mid-year, but that way you know, and there's other things that go into that line besides payroll. That was the biggest chunk that I identified when putting this together, was that it came more from payroll than it did some of the other office things that are in that line.
Yeah, okay.
Any other questions on financials? Okay, I think I'll talk about it now rather than later when we get into budget, just so you know what we're planning for the UAL. So there is a budget committee meeting coming up May 8th. And our plan is to have a colleague of mine, his name is Scott Catlett. He works with policies all of the time. And so you have a, I don't know, 3 or 4 page at least policy that someone developed for you. Just a couple of years ago, and it had to do with the unfunded part of the liability. So CalPERS already says, based on how many people were in place, here's a mandatory payment you must make. We budget for that. But then there's also the unfunded part that they, if we don't do anything, will continue to increase your payment. So each year it will go up a little bit more and more and more over the next 25 to 30 years if you don't do anything additionally. So there's nothing wrong with keeping it the way it is. Several organizations decide that they need a policy that explicitly talks about how they're going to fund that pension. And so Cal Municipal developed a policy for you. So I took it to Scott because Nikki and I wanted to know what, we wanted to bring it back for the budget committee and before bring it back to your policies. And he has some really good ideas about what options you should consider. And I think he can explain how it all works. So I want the board to understand how it works and make an educated decision about whether you choose to fund it, what you want in your policy. But we're all under the agreement, Nikki, Scott, and myself, that it doesn't need to be the 4 pages that's there. There's things in that policy that I don't really think need to be. So I don't want to say a lot more other than we wanted to bring it to this meeting, but we decided to do a more thorough vetting. And I'd like to bring Scott back. It's all under our contract. So it just is nice because we have different experts in different areas. So Scott can come and talk to you at budget. Let the budget committee make a recommendation to the board about that policy and how you might fund it moving forward. Nikki, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think that is perfect.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Okay, so we'll bring that back next. That's all I have then, until we get to the budget and a later agenda item.
Thank you, Christy. All right, no standing committee reports.
Can I comment on that real quick?
Yes, please.
So budget was supposed to meet, earlier in March. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get an in-person quorum. So that's why you're seeing the mid-year budget adjustments that the board will be vetting tonight rather than normally it would run through the budget committee. But we are planning to have the May 8th meeting, which will have fiscal year 25-26 recommendations, as well as Christy mentioned, the UAL policy and anything else, salary schedule, all the regular stuff. In terms of CFD committee, there is a meeting scheduled because we scheduled those quarterly, the second week of April. I talked to Christy today and we don't feel that there's enough to discuss at the meeting. So in an effort to not make people attend meetings that are unnecessary, we're gonna cancel that meeting because largely all it would be is an update to how the bond proceeds are being spent, which really there's not much change to that either. So FYI, there's not gonna be a CFD committee meeting in April.
Okay.
Okay.
Got it. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
All right, so we have ad hoc committee report.
Yep, so one is in the package, one is oral, so I think The facilities committee report is pretty self-explanatory. We're continuing to move forward on the Bob Lucas branch renovation, working with the contractor to figure out when we can reasonably expect delivery. There are a couple last minute items that we're going back and forth on, to figure out that timing. We have, gotten all public comments back on our CEQA process, and we are gonna send our draft EIR in probably tomorrow. It is a bajillion pages long. It is extremely comprehensive, so hopefully it will sail through because everybody will say, what a good job you guys did. But all of that is moving and in good shape. I'm happy to answer any questions on facilities if there's anything.
Was there anything in the CEQA comments that looked?
No. Mm-mm.
Nothing substantive.
No,
Okay.
no, there was not a ton of participation generally, which is fine. And yeah, there were comments, but most of them are things we have no control over.
I'll also throw in there that I
yeah.
talked to Diana today, who's gonna take the lead on the mural project.
Fantastic. Yay, thank you, Diana. Yeah, I should fill you guys in on where that is as well. So we're just, yeah, so as you know, making sure that the mural is restored, is beautiful, remains an important part of the Bob Lucas library, has been a priority from the beginning. And so we're talking with the artist who organized and directed the original project, Edgar Arsenault, as well as members of the community. One question that arose for all of us was, originally the plan was to restore the mural in its original form. Does everybody still feel the same way kind of post-fire? Does it seem like maybe we would want to do something new? Do we want to keep the existing mural? We want to check in with everybody and get a read on what their preferences are. So we're starting that process, Diana. Thank you so much for being able to jump in on that. And we will, either way, the mural will be, remain a priority, will be restored, whether it is in its original form or in a new form, but that will be a decision that we base on the feedback we hear from community members. Crisis and recovery, I think Nikki pretty much covered during her report. I don't have a whole lot to add there. We don't have a sort of regular standing meeting, but I feel like we're meeting constantly anyway, about various things. So, yeah.
Okay. I think, you do have a regular standing meeting because it's crisis and recovery, so you're probably always meeting and talking.
Pretty much, yeah, I think that's basically right.
Okay. Any questions on either facilities or the crisis and recovery? Okay. We do not have any unfinished business, so we can move into new business, beginning with review and approval of the recommended mid-year budget adjustments.
Okay.
Hello again.
On page 98 is where we start with general fund. We had prepared this for the budget committee meeting that we ended up canceling and moving to May. So I didn't update column A with year-to-date actuals, but the proposed amendments still hold true even after looking at the financials as they were prepared through February. So revenue is all coming in and expected fine. The only line we're adjusting here are library fees, and that has to do with passport revenue. And the majority of that is due to the fact that the library was closed for most of January and all of February. So that is the only line where we're expecting a decrease in revenue. For expenses, we are decreasing salaried and hourly wages, and that is mostly due to those vacancies that we've had throughout the year. So for instance, the staff accountant, and then also the adult services manager, and then we've had other ones, positions that were vacant at periods of time. So this is probably conservative. I expect it to come in even lower, but this is our estimate for right now. And then the related benefit lines, the majority of those lines are decreased to go along with it, with the exception of the workers' compensation line. The invoice came in lower for your insurance premium, so we've reduced that to actual. And same with the CalPERS UAL minimum payment, the required payment was a little bit less than we budgeted, so we've adjusted that. We did leave the $100,000 discretionary payment in, which again will be discussed and brought back to the board after the meeting in May. For operating expenses, insurance brought down a little bit, again, based on actual invoices. They usually give us an idea in April of what they think the increases will be. And then if they come in less, we make that adjustment here. We did increase, or proposing to increase facilities, grounds, and maintenance. And that's the majority of that tied to fire remediation. You saw earlier that we've used this structure line. As of December, we had not, but as of February, that entire amount was used for the HVAC. But in addition to that, there's some other remediation costs and maintenance costs. So we're proposing an increase there. The vehicle and equipment's maintenance, again, has to do with the mobile library van that was spent early in the year, unanticipated. We're asking for an adjustment there. We have still not received to date the trustee election invoice, but you'll recall this was missed in the original budget. So I really don't know if 70,000 is a good number or not. We're basing that on what's happened in the past. So hopefully that's a good indicator, but I'm hoping we receive that invoice prior to the end of the year, and then we'll be able to update you on where that is. And this is where I'm showing miscellaneous. So even though some of those were one-time costs that Katie had referred to before for payroll, so I'm not recommending an increase of 8,000. We're only recommending 4. So we'll look at that a little closer and give you an idea of what it is, but we're not expecting it to come in at exactly double what it was. Professional services, I'm recommending 20,000 for audit and financial consulting. Again, the audit is coming in right on target. It's the Eide Bailly services that have been more. We've been preparing all of your payments, entering all your payments with US Bank for the requisitions, and doing some of the other things that your accountant was doing. I do want to give a little shout out to Catalina, because anytime we need something, she's the one that's there and helps us. She has a greater understanding than most do, considering she's not involved in every piece of it. But anytime we need something, in addition to Eide Bailly, she is the one who's been helping us keep the library running, even without that position being there. The consultants, we'd like to decrease $10,000, and that's just because we budgeted more. The district budgeted more for human resource services that they have not needed and don't anticipate needing in the next 4 months. So we can save some there. Books. Oh, go ahead.
It also takes into account what we anticipate to spend on the lobbyists in that line.
Thank you.
Although we are reducing it, we would have reduced it more if it weren't for that cost, but that's built into there too.
Yes, thank you, Nikki. I forgot. That's a net. Yeah, great.
Can I ask you a quick question before we keep going?
Yes, please.
Can you explain line 19, please? I read the variance explanation. I didn't understand it either. So.
Oh gosh, did I skip over that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
It's been a long day. I'm very sorry. Okay, normal costs. Excellent point, Katie. That I should have brought that up. It's an increase. Typically it'd be a decrease based on the other lines that I talked above. That amount should be going down. We put in a placeholder for that, and Nikki could speak to this a little more, but it was identified somewhere after the budget during the year that there are 2 longtime employees with the district that were not enrolled as we believe they should have been in CalPERS. So we're working with CalPERS to get them back in the system to see if they will recognize all of their years of service. And if they do, it is the district that must pay them. So these are mistakes that or shouldn't say mistake, but they were left out of that system early. They were not brought in until a later date. They should have been brought in years ago. I don't even remember what the earliest one goes back to, Nikki, prior to you and me for sure. We're estimating it to be that this additional cost the library would have to pay, but we haven't gotten a definitive answer from CalPERS yet about whether they're going to allow this and send us that type of an invoice.
Got it.
Yeah, both positions were written out of the CalPERS contract in 1969.
Oh, wow.
But both employees were working more than 19 hours a week. So I don't know what's gonna happen, but I provided all the data to CalPERS back in, deadline was mid-January. But like, they may say no,
Right,
but this way we're budgeting in the event that
okay,
they're given that service credit.
that makes sense.
And if not, they're given the option, I believe, to buy service credit.
Okay,
But
got it.
yeah, I missed that too, sorry.
Thank you. I grazed right over it. Thank you, Katie. Okay, so if we get down to, we'll go back to line 50, books. Just a slight adjustment there. I know we're not trying to short the district on anything, but knowing that the library will be closing and you're going to have to move materials, we felt like at least 18,100 could be saved in that line. And you might see more as managers go through this. They're working on this at the same time they're working on their next year's budget. So we might even see additional savings here, but we wanted to leave enough room for them to do what they need to finish out the year. No changes estimated for programming, although some of the events did not occur. Things couldn't happen as normal. You know that all the care camps were going on, some of those expenses. There were still other things in outreach that the library was doing. I don't know where I put it here. Where's the LeBar? Oh, sorry, I haven't gotten to grants yet. I was gonna say, where's LeBar Burton? That event is coming up in the budget. So for general fund, we had originally anticipated having to withdraw 83,000 from the reserves. Now we're saying 74,000. I think it's actually gonna be more of a level budget or even a small contribution to it. But we always like to be conservative with what we've done here. This is what we know, but there are some other things that could potentially allow you to keep your reserve right where it's at. Any questions on general fund? Okay, we'll move to donations and grants. The Building Equity-Based Summers Program was added during the year, so we're adding the budget line for that. It's already been completely spent out, but we're putting in that budget. We've already even received the funds, so that is there. The literacy services, there's always a little bit of an adjustment. They seem to give us more during the year, so we're making a small adjustment there to catch that up to actual funding. The lunch at the library, it received its new grant amount, which runs, I think, February to January or January to January, something like that. So we're putting this amount in here knowing that a portion will go into next year and we'll see that carried over in next year's budget. But that program continues. Same with the zip books. That's something that is applied for, I think, during the year. And so now we have that budget and they're spending on that. We're a slight increase for salaries and between salaried and hourly. And again, that just counts for the increase that we have up here in literacy. At the same time that down on line 25, we're doing a slight reallocation. So we're getting additional funds, which means we're reducing down here and increasing the salaries a little bit just to stay in line with how that grant was written. Adult services, we're taking 5,000 out so we can spell out the Poets Laureate. We've done that in the past. Don't really recall why it was combined this year, but we thought it belonged on its own line so you could see what is being spent for that project. Lunch at the library, again, this just accounts for the new money. A small portion of that will be spent into next year. And then you have your zip books, purchase suggestions, and your building equity brought into those expense lines. So again, no net effect on the budget because again, the district spends every dollar they receive in grant funding. It's just a reallocation of lines and to account for new money. Any questions on donations and grants?
Can you remind me, lunch at the library, we just started last year, like what, is it a 2-year program, 3-year program, do we have to re-up, what's the rule?
By every year.
Every year,
So
okay,
it starts in February and then the reapplication or application process is like November, December, and then they're awarded and we started.
okay, so we were recently awarded, I guess, got it, okay.
Okay, We move on to the building projects. We had not budgeted for those donations, so we've added that to the budget for those naming donations. We'll probably still go over that because we continue to receive donations from other sources, but at this time, we were just recommending where we are today, not any other expected funds. We've increased the interest income to a more realistic number. Interest rates are still high with where you have the funds invested. That will it's not just the returns that will make that diminish a little bit in the future, but as your balance starts to spend down, you'll have less invested. Eventually, you'll start to see less interest earned on that line. But right now, with the larger balances and the higher returns, we're able to increase that. We have decreased construction costs to be a little more realistic based on what we have in the pipeline and projected to spend before June 30th. And that does include some costs of continuing with the main library, because Bob Lucas, of course, will be done. The majority of bills will be in the next couple months here as we approach their grand opening. Construction, testing, and inspection was not a line we had really budgeted for, but Jennifer does want to keep that separate because it's after construction. We want to be able to test, or excuse me, track where we're at with that. So we'll see an adjustment here, we recommend, and then also in next year's budget, we will budget probably not much of that because it won't come into play for a couple years when you get into the inspection piece of Maine. So a reduction of about 2.9 million, and all it is moving it to the next year is why we're redoing this. And then again, some of the narrative that if you've got additional questions, there's a little more reminder of what's in each of the lines and what we're proposing. Any other questions based on this? Okay.
Good.
Nikki.
Okay. Is there no other questions or discussion?
I think it's pretty straightforward. Yeah, it
Move
looks good to
forward
me.
to a vote, yes?
Yes.
All right, that was easy. All right,
Christy did all the hard work. And
well
so
done,
Nikki and
thank
Catalina.
you.
Nikki and Catalina, there you go.
Thank you. Okay. All right then, may I have a motion to approve the recommended mid-year budget? Adjustment?
So moved.
Second?
Great. Trustee Capel,
Aye.
trustee Clark,
Aye.
trustee Lim,
Aye.
and I vote for me. Good, thank you. All right. All right, let's move on to our next item, which is a resolution supporting federal, state, and local funding for libraries and advocacy initiative, fostering support for libraries via the work of the Institute, the IMLS. And will you be reporting on that?
Sure, I could talk about this a little bit. So this is sort of a last minute addition to the agenda, but on March 14th, there was an executive order that targeted a series of federal agencies. I believe there were a list of 7, and among them was the Institute of Museum and Library Services for sort of as much reduction in staff and budget and function as is statutorily required. And you know, the sort of consensus from everybody in library land who's watching stuff like this is that the goal is to basically eliminate the IMLS. So one thing that I think a lot of people don't understand is kind of how the funding mechanisms work for public libraries across the United States. And generally speaking, somewhere north of 80% of library funding comes at the local level. So that's certainly true for us. I mean, probably 95% of our funding is from the local level. Both from tax revenues as well as donations. Some funding comes from the state level. About 1% of funding for libraries nationwide comes from the federal level. But that said, the IMLS, which is the main vehicle for conveying that funding to the states, does really, really important work. They have a small staff, it's like 70 something people. They have a relatively small budget. The vast majority of that budget is just parceled out in block grants to states. The IMLS makes grants to all 50 states, to sovereign tribal nations, to do a lot of the work that is critical for libraries. So that's professional development. It's making sure that there's resources and connectivity, especially for rural and underserved libraries. Helping, develop all kinds of data reporting nationwide so that we know, for example, what the average dollar per person spent is on library services, state by state, county by county. So all of this is by way of saying what the IMLS does is really important. It benefits the Altadena Library, even if it's just indirectly. And so my suggestion is that we as a board both pass a resolution saying, hey, we think what the IMLS does is really important, and it's important that it's allowed to keep doing it. A lot of this is set out by Congress. So most of what the IMLS does is a statutory requirement. And then accompanying this resolution in the packages you will see is a letter that will go to our various elected representatives, basically encouraging them to also advocate for the continued existence of and funding of the IMLS, as Congress has indicated that it should be funded. That funding usually goes up every year. Congress traditionally ups the IMLS budget year over year, which is an indication, I think, of how important it is and the unusual level of bipartisan support that it has as an initiative. So that's the intent for both of these, and I'm happy to answer any questions about them. Oh, I should say one more thing, sorry. Most of the information in the resolution, the language, all of this stuff, we're borrowing heavily from the ALA and other library advocacy organizations who are also, making similar asks. So most of this is very consistent with the larger sentiment from professional library institutions across the country.
Thank you for sharing. Are there any questions or comments on the proposed resolution and letter? I thank you and all of you who supported putting this together. I definitely think it's an important piece of action that our small library can take, so I appreciate it. That being said, then, may I have a motion to approve resolution 2025-02?
So, second.
Okay, trustee Capel,
Aye.
trustee Clark,
Aye.
trustee Lim.
Aye.
And I vote for me. Excellent work, y'all. Thank you. All right, then we can move into our next item, announcements and planning, starting with correspondence. I'm looking daggers at you. We got a letter from trustee Jason Capel. Do you have any, would you like to speak to it?
I'll try. Yeah. I hope the letter speaks for itself. Very, very difficult decision, obviously. It seems like the the hits from the fire just keep on coming. But what felt most important to me in this role is to do what's best for the community, and obviously that starts with somebody who can represent the community on the board, who as much as possible, I know this is tough for all of us, but as much as possible is still locally rooted. And I feel confident, it was the decision we made a couple months ago to fill a vacancy, was a really difficult decision. There was a lot of really amazing qualified candidates. So I feel confident that you all will be able to fill my position with somebody, at least as dedicated as I believe I have been. It's been an amazing experience. I think about what we have all accomplished in the last 6 years and just how far the libraries have come, the place that our little Altadena Library District holds in the greater national community of public libraries now, thanks to the work that's been done, thanks to the leadership we have now, but the leadership who has left their mark when they were with us. I put it in the library, but I don't think enough can ever be said for the work that Terry and Betsy did, you know, that led to some of us being on this board. Just the amazing calmness and leadership they showed in probably some of the most difficult times of this district and this board. And I don't say this lightly, but without that, I don't know where we would be. And I think in the history of the Altadena libraries, a lot of recognition is going to need to remain with those two amazing people. So it's a tough, very tough decision. I definitely plan on staying connected to Altadena as much as possible. I will absolutely be at the Bob Lucas reopening. It's going to be amazing. Just the pictures of just where it's at right now are astonishing. So, yeah, so thank you for the opportunity to share this, and best of luck to all of you. I'm excited to continue to follow the progress in Altadena.
Thank you. Thank you for your words and your presence. And I shared my comments with you via email, so.
Yeah. Thank you, Camila.
Well, I'll just say, if I may, you will absolutely be missed. And I think about all the work that has happened over the past 6 years. And I think about, you're exactly right. Betsy and Terry have done a lot, but I also feel like, it would be inappropriate to let you off the hook for the many things that you have done, and your advocacy on behalf of Measure Z, your work championing the Bob Lucas project, and just relentlessly going to bat for all kinds of initiatives that have made our library better. So I will miss you every Monday at facilities committee meetings. And I know that we're going to keep knocking on your door to get your opinion on things, but I appreciate so much everything you've done, and you've brought a lot to the district, and we're really going to miss you.
If I can add to that, Katie, I do feel a little bit like an extended member of the family, simply because I've worked with Nikki and all of you so long. And I was really sad to see Terry go, and I feel the same about you, Jason. It's not always that I see this much commitment and actual participation from board members. You'd like to think it's there, but I think you've contributed a lot, and I do hope that you're correct and that they find a really good replacement for you.
Thank you.
Well, Jason, I think I just want to say you're not gonna get off so easy, even if you're virtual. So we'll wait for you to come back, and we'll have our proper farewell.
That's right.
When
That's
you're
exactly
here.
right. Yeah.
I'll just add too, like, I feel like I came on about, 9 months after you guys got started on the board. And I feel like Katie, Jason, and I have sort of grown up together in the district.
Yeah.
I can't discount the amount of work that goes into chairing and sitting on the facilities committee, and you've been on it for over 6 years.
The whole time.
I mean, that in itself is a lot of work, not to mention serving as board president, serving on every committee that we've had. Anytime I've asked for anything, you're always there. So I'm also really sad to see you go, but understand, and just I'm really grateful for everything you've done for the district. And just know we're gonna keep carrying that legacy forward.
I know you will. I know you will.
Thank you, Jason.
And we have a certificate.
Yeah.
But like Boone said, I want to get you here.
Yeah, we'll do it
If
for real.
possible, and present you with a gift and shower you with adoration in person,
There
right?
you go.
I will definitely be staying in touch with everybody.
Thank you. So then we have, any proposed future agenda items?
Move to cover, since we have some vacancies now on the committees, discussing.
Yeah, I wrote a note to ask about that.
So yeah, that's more governance. Tonight, I do think we need to appoint someone to the budget committee specifically.
Yeah.
You know, Jason is the other member of facilities committee. It's a huge commitment. I don't know if we need a second at this point, or if we wait to see who we appoint, down the road.
What do you think
I mean,
on the facilities?
it's true, like facilities is a big one. I think we can wait to see who we appoint. It may be that we want to reshuffle things a little bit based on that person's, background and expertise and whatnot. I will say for the next like month or two, I can't remember when we're gonna have the deadline for the appointment for vacancy, but basically for the next month or two, we're just kind of wrapping up Bob Lucas and moving Maine through Sequest. So I don't think there's a ton of like decision making we need to do. I think we'll basically be not in a holding pattern, but we kind of know what's coming for the next little bit. So yeah, I think I'm comfortable kind of holding it for now. But yeah,
But we absolutely, I agree. I think it gives whoever is going to be appointed an opportunity to,
maybe they won't
serve.
really want to
Yeah,
do that. Yeah,
exactly.
great.
But we do need someone for the budget like immediately, right?
Right.
Well, we have a May 8th meeting scheduled, so we'll need
Yeah.
a second person on that committee.
Yes. So are there any volunteers? I'm already on it.
I was just trying to check, I was like, am I already?
Who's
I know,
on
what do we have? Let me see. So
Ray or CFP,
Okay,
and then.
Boone and Ray are CFD. Okay.
Ray and Katie are crisis and recovery. You are budget, Katie's facilities. So I mean, everybody's kind of on multiple.
Yeah.
yeah.
Are you on too?
Yeah, was that it? I feel like something's
know.
off. So I was checking the list, I can't remember.
You also have the governmental
Yeah,
thing, the
yeah.
liaison.
yeah.
Yeah, so I'll do budget for now,
You can do
I guess,
budget.
yeah.
Okay.
Cause I think you're chairing it, right?
I was not, but
Was Jason chairing?
I think were you chairing it, Jason? I think you were.
You're so old.
Do you remember?
I don't remember. I'm sure it would have
Yeah.
been
Sure.
rather egalitarian.
But it's fine, I can.
Yeah, if you want
Yeah,
to share, I think
okay.
it'd be fine.
Okay,
We'll have it all ready.
yeah.
Mhm.
Okay,
Okay.
so
So Boone will
Boone
be our
is
second.
heretofore appointed,
Thank you.
all right?
So yeah, we'll plan on posting the vacancy, what, tomorrow?
Yes, tomorrow, so I'm gonna notify the county, of the vacancy, and then we can post it.
And then how long do people have to apply?
Guys, well, we have 60 days to appoint somebody, but we're not gonna wait.
Well, the April meeting is the 28th. So I guess, how long do we want it to sit open?
Well, they have to be formally appointed at a regular meeting, so we could get somebody appointed.
Well, no, we usually appoint at a special meeting.
But they're first, like, when you swear them in, it has to be a regular meeting.
Right,
Yeah.
but we would have to schedule like a special meeting before the 28th is the point.
Well, no, I think, what I was thinking is if we could appoint at the 28th, then they're officially on the board by May, which is.
Oh, I see what you mean. So basically they would sit out the 28th.
Right,
And
like
appoint
we
at
could-
the end of
we
the
could do
meeting.
that at the end,
Right.
choose someone, and then have them in place for May.
Do we have a bunch of other stuff in April? Is that gonna be like a hella long meeting?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, there's not a lot coming up. The only thing I have written down is we're working on, the naming agreements related to the building projects. We think there's gonna be 3 of them, but
Right,
that should be pretty straightforward.
Yeah, that's right.
So if you think that's enough time, because it is the 24th, it's almost like 5 or 6 weeks, we could have it sit open for maybe like 3 weeks, which I think is enough, to be honest, because almost everybody applies at the last minute,
Yeah.
no
Well,
matter when we set the deadline.
And maybe all the other people will come
And we'll
back.
reach
Yeah.
out to
I
the,
hope
Fund,
so. Yeah, we had
fund-
great applicants last time.
so maybe we could get it posted, have it open for about 4 weeks, and then we'll plan to bring them all to the April meeting.
That
How
sounds
much
great.
time do you all need on your end to, right?
We just need everything to be able to put in the board package.
So we would do a special meeting and then April meeting or all of it?
All in April, on the 28th.
Are we gonna ask, one question I do have, because I know people are displaced, are we gonna ask people who are applicants to come in person to the April
They
meeting?
wouldn't have to, but that's up to the board. Do you
No,
want
I
them
just,
in
I'm just thinking
person?
about fairness, right? Like, if like half the people come in person, half the people come virtually. I don't know,
Or we could make the decision to just have them attend virtually.
all of them virtually. I just feel like we should do it one way or the other.
Wait, but can we appoint virtually?
We would be here.
Yeah, as long
Yeah,
as.
it's
Got it.
just
as long as
So-
you're here.
But it needs to
Okay.
be in person.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, I don't know, you know, where people are and everybody's
Well, I
situation is
thought-
complex.
So I thought it was the swearing in part that was needed to happen. So.
Yeah, but that would be after you appoint somebody
Right, but if
So they
we're
would be sworn in May?
At the May meeting.
at the main.
at the main meeting, okay, but we don't need them for the prior for discussions, that's my question. Cause we're trying to do it early, right, for,
Well, I mean, the only other way we could do it is a special meeting, which I just like to bring everybody back together. I think if we can, and again, there's such a good amount of time between now and the April meeting, I think we could make it work. And we'll look at what else is on the agenda, but April is usually pretty light.
right, no, I just think, like, is there a reason we need them to be
Oh, in person?
sworn in before, that's my question,
No,
no, then it doesn't matter, right? So then.
No, because we have a
Yeah,
quorum,
we
because there's
appoint,
3 of
yes,
us.
yeah, then it's fine, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's just none of us can miss the April meeting.
Yeah. Everybody be here.
April
Yeah.
28th, get it on your
April
calendar.
28th, everybody be here. No, but Ray will be there as well.
No,
He'll be
no
okay.
pressure.
Yeah, I think that's
Know
fine.
what'll happen in a month, but.
Yeah, exactly.
The way this year's going. So,
Oh my God.
Okay,
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 so we'll plan on that. We'll appoint at the April meeting and have them sworn in May.
I have a question.
Sure.
Not a popular one. Did we ever hear back in terms of because people are displaced? And we did you tell us that? And I forgot.
About that, legally was that you have to have intent, as long as you have intent to move back. That's all that's required of you.
Okay.
I
They
did,
didn't-
I did have a question about this. I might as well just ask it here in open forum. I got like a little thing from LA County that was like, hey, you gotta update your voter registration. I'm like, I don't wanna update my voter registration. Like, I wanna stay an Altadena voter. But I don't have an address anymore because it burned down. So like, do we,
You can update your address with the PO box. Or with just a
I'll
mail.
ask the attorney.
Yeah.
is that, cause I'm not doing anything. I'm not updating anything.
Well, as far
But-
as-
We don't have a PO box either in Altadena.
Exactly.
No, it doesn't have to be, your mailing address can be in a completely different city for purposes of.
I know, but you have to be a registered voter in Altadena to be eligible as a board member. And so like, because I changed my mailing address at the post office, so I could get
Yeah.
mail, like,
Yeah,
The-
I'll ask the attorney.
yeah, would you check? Thank you, because it made me very upset. And I was like, no. change it.
And so my follow-up question to that is, where is that stated? Where is that in the law of the special district and our bylaw that you have to be a registered voter of Altadena to serve in the
The board
position?
policy.
That's just, yeah.
But it's also, I think, in the
The law.
establishing
It's a
act,
law.
yeah.
When you're voting, wherever you're voting, you have to be a resident to register to vote for.
You have to be 18 and you
X, Y,
have to
and
be,
Z
yeah.
District or whatever it is.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
I was hoping it was something that we might have access to change.
I think-
Like, because special circumstance, but
Because
okay.
we're on the LA County ballot, my understanding is that that's something that is like, when, you know, when you file your papers for the ballot, they like check your eligibility. That's the LA County
Okay.
piece of it, so I think that that's their. Like, we couldn't change that if we wanted to, basically.
So then with the, okay, so then with the potentials that might apply, we will need to check their intent if they happen to be displaced, basically,
Yeah, I mean.
to return.
I would say if we know, if it is known that somebody does not intend to return to Altadena and they're displaced currently, but we would have to know that. I would say it's difficult for us to know that unless somebody outright says it. If they outright say they don't plan on returning to Altadena, I would say
Yeah.
that's not a selection that
Well,
we could legally make.
yeah, my question was gonna be, does it have to be a part of, do you need to put it on like the application, like a checkbox? Do you
Yeah,
intend
it's a good
to?
question.
Cause on the statement of qualifications, it says you
Right.
have to certify that you're a registered voter in Altadena and you're 18 years or older.
Yeah, that's a good.
You should probably add something about, are you currently residing in Altadena?
Mhm. And
If not, do you
yeah.
intend
To return,
to return?
yeah.
We
Something
need
like
to
that.
find out if we can legally put that
Yeah, we'll work on that.
a document. Yeah.
Okay.
Because again, like, he couldn't even give us a time frame because like, if you're rebuilding your house,
Right,
that could take a couple of years at least, you know what I mean? So like, I think he said as long as the intent is for the trustee to return. But I'll find out about the registration
Okay,
and we'll update the form.
okay.
Okay.
All right. And then you have discussion of a May special meeting.
Ooh,
Yes.
It's on the agenda.
That was probably about the
The
vacancy,
election, I mean, yeah.
right?
The May special meeting was because of the CSDA legislative. Moving them in.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
wait, what? Yes, yes.
Okay, good reminder.
Yes.
We were talking about this maybe.
sure. I
But
have no memory of that whatsoever, but I believe you.
so the next thing that we have on the calendar for Crisis and Recovery Committee is to attend the California Special District Association Legislative Days in Sacramento, which are May 20th and 21st, so Tuesday and Wednesday. Because the day starts at like 8:30 a.m., Katie, Ray, and I need to fly up the night before, or the day before. Which would not give us a in-person.
Oh, I remember this now, yeah, right.
So we were gonna propose the idea of moving the meeting to the Thursday, the 22nd. That will be the budget meeting, so is Christy still in? Hopefully she's hearing us. If that can work, gives us a little bit more time because the April meetings are only 3 weeks apart because of the way Memorial Day falls.
I thought the budget meeting was on the 8th.
Budget committee is, but the regularly scheduled board meeting, we're looking at moving from the 19th to the 22nd, if we can make that work. And we verified that we can do the budget at a special meeting,
Yeah.
not a regular meeting.
It doesn't have to be.
Oh, I see.
So can you look at the 22nd of May? It's a Thursday.
Can we just move are we not allowed to move on regular meeting? No, okay.
Not once we
Why?
publish the calendar.
We do it once a
Oh.
year and we have to set
Yeah.
them at the top and then we can't change them.
So we can cancel it and just get.
We can do all the same stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah, but
there's
it's
there's
just-
only like we can't evaluate the director and we can't swear in a new trustee at anything except a regular meeting.
Hmm.
But every other item of business we
Which
can
would be
do.
a special meeting.
So now we can't do that.
Oh, shit, that's right. We can't do that. That's how I feel, kiddo.
Mhm.
Right.
Can you guys select at the meeting and swear in at the same meeting?
Yes, it would just require that person.
Definitely to be there,
To
but
be
if
there,
we're
right?
doing, yeah.
Wait, would it? I mean,
I'm lost.
Well, if there was a
I
forum
was distracted
here
by
in
the baby.
person,
I'm
actually,
lost.
they could be sworn in. I can ask to make sure that that makes legal
Is that
sense,
kosher?
but I don't
Yeah.
see why they can't.
I think it should be legitimate.
Yeah, because
We've
there-
done it before
There
Have
would
we-
be-
have we?
no, no,
in COVID.
no.
That's-
It's not. The reason it's not is because we would need to publish the address of that person if they're being remote, if they're remoting into the meeting.
But we wouldn't know.
And we wouldn't
Obviously, we
who's
wouldn't know who it
elected.
is.
Yeah.
Can you back up?
Ha,
What is it?
okay, I see what you're trying.
I got lost
Okay.
from not having it.
So
Sorry,
we
Why
wanted
is
to
it an issue?
wanted to reschedule the meeting on the 19th.
to the
Because
22nd. Mhm.
There, because Ray, Katie, and Nikki
Mhm.
are going up to Sacramento for the
Yeah.
city legislative days. But that is a regular meeting, and that is the meeting that we were planning on swearing in.
And you can't swear in on a special meeting.
We can't.
Which
swear in at a
would
special
be-
meeting,
okay.
yeah. Then you can't do it remotely, because if we do it at the same meeting, we don't know, like,
Even
Right,
if they swear in at the end. I think we
Yeah,
should look into that.
Because they wouldn't be participating in the meeting.
Right.
Like, we would just be doing a ceremonial swearing in at the end.
But then that requires them to come in person, to be here in person on the
that's what I
28th.
thought.
I'm not sure.
find it
Yeah,
out.
I don't think we've.
I don't know,
During
maybe,
COVID.
maybe I'm changing my mind a little bit too on not having them here in person, to be honest. Because part of being on the board is we need people to attend meetings in person,
Well, no, that is true. Like,
you know,
that
like,
is true.
do we want to swear someone in that can't come in person because they're not living nearby and are unable to come?
True,
It's a good
that's a
point.
good point.
Yeah.
So it may be that we require the candidates to come in.
I mean, I think that we were just giving that grace, I think, because everything is so
Yeah.
nutty. To say like, you could come, we'll make it easy for you
Right,
and come on Zoom. But yeah,
Jason, what do you think? I'm curious.
I mean, the fact that it's just exceedingly difficult for me to attend in person was a big part of my decision as well. I mean, I know that I think there's a difference between being displaced and still being nearby,
Mhm.
being displaced to the point where you can't be effective in your role on the board.
Right.
Right, but there are so many people right now who are temporarily displaced, like, I think it's, yeah. Maybe it's a special meeting.
I mean, I get it, but I don't know. It sucks to like drive an hour here and drive an hour home for 5 minutes.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like just in reality and like sit through a whole like 2-hour meeting. Like that's just asking a lot from people. Which I don't think necessarily correlates to someone's willingness to show up and be on the board. I think it's reasonable for us to ask like, hey, you do have to attend board meetings in person, are you gonna be able to do that? That's a reasonable question.
and then we have to appoint by May 20, give it 60 days.
Here's a question.
Well, I mean, it's trouble no matter what, because
Yeah,
how are we not gonna move the meeting?
Well, so you are not gonna be able to be here physically. Does that qualify for one of the special permissions that she could be in virtually?
So the traditional Brown Act rules, you would think that they would make this easier for people after everything, but no, it really kind of didn't, honestly. Just to openly complain about the Brown Act. Even though you can be remote, a quorum of the board must still be here
Oh, and
In
Ray won't be
person.
here
and
either.
Ray's gonna be in
Oh,
Sacramento
I
too.
forgot, he's,
in
okay,
order for somebody to be
Got it.
remote.
Right, so I think
okay.
we are stuck. We need to have a special meeting a few days before our April meeting, unfortunately, and do it then. Right,
Yep, that would be
That's
another
it, right?
solution.
Yes.
that's it, right?
Yeah.
Or
We
it's
look
the
at the
rock and the hard
calendar.
place.
Yeah,
let's see.
probably.
Yeah,
We
because
look
we're
at-
losing that one meeting,
Yeah,
that's not gonna move, right? Because CSDA is CSDA.
CSDA is CSDA, like
Yeah.
that's right, exactly.
So
Well,
I
and I
think,
mean, I hate to have us fly up or have plan
Yeah.
fly up and miss most of the day.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense. Okay, so what if we post it tomorrow, let's say, and it's open for 3 weeks, that's 1, 2, 3, that's the 15th. We could do a special meeting that following week. Would you guys be able to meet on Monday or Tuesday? Or even Wednesday? We'll have to publish. You know, but even that, I guess.
but we need 3, right?
But it's a special, it's,
That would be a special meeting.
To a point.
when you
Not
say,
swear.
yeah, but when you say you need to publish, it won't be a huge packet, because it will just be
It'll just be.
Good body.
the applications.
Yeah.
So really, we could do it any day that week,
Yeah, we can make it work.
and then we'll swear them in on the 28th.
Sorry, we're looking at the week of the 14th,
Thinking the week of the
The
21st.
21st, that makes more sense, okay.
You know what?
I have a lot of travel coming up, I think.
So maybe what we'll do
This
is we'll
was your
reach out
idea.
tomorrow.
Yeah, no, we have no
Do you know when
choice.
you're gonna be gone?
I think, I wanna say 22nd, 23rd, 24th, I think. I have to go look at my calendar.
Okay, we'll
Yeah,
check in
but
with
why
you.
don't we don't need to decide that now, right? The thing is, logistically, we have to do the next meeting, I think, the 60-day rule, right? So then, let's just post and then let's find a date that works in that period.
Well, we have to
before-
tell people when they're gonna be appointed to post the vacancy. So we need to know the date of the special meeting to
Right.
post it.
First,
21st, yeah, I can let you know tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll find
Yeah.
out, we'll figure it out
Yeah.
tomorrow,
Yeah.
and then, before we post, obviously.
Okay,
Yeah, I wanna say.
But I do think there's enough time to do all of this.
Okay.
And then we either keep the 19th and they could attend
virtually.
virtually if we have a 30-person forum here.
Yeah.
And then the domino falls.
right, that's
Because all we
true,
have to
which
do
would be a
is-
lot easier.
Yeah.
Done.
Okay, that sounds like a good plan.
All right,
Sorry to
All
keep
right.
it-
Nope, good problem solving, everyone.
that was like the goat and the cabbage and the person in the boat can't go at the same time. You gotta figure out who speaks German and who lives in the
Oh.
house, and then you're
The
like,
alligator eats our.
and then the alligator eats them, and that's what it is.
All
All
right,
right.
then if there's no objections, we can adjourn at 6:40. Right? Yes, okay.
Can.
We are
I
adjourned.
think that I have to second that. but
Thank you.
No.
Let's do it.
Take care, everybody. I'll see you all soon.